Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, and thank you again to your wonderful clergy, to the women of Holy Blossom Temple, and to your whole congregation for welcoming me so warmly. And Chloe, Mazel Tov to you and your whole family. You chanted so beautifully today. This is an unbelievable moment to be speaking to a community and to live in the world, really. So I add my prayers today for peace and for safety for all Israel and for the innocent and perhaps very scared and frightened people of Iran today too. And in just a few days, we will begin our holiday of joy and gladness, Purim. So today I'm going to speak about a challenge for our own people amidst the challenges in our world. As Rabbi McCarroll shared, I am someone who hosts a Purim-themed podcast. I lead a women's empowerment organization, and I love a good costume. So Purim is absolutely one of my favorite holidays. And I know we're not quite there yet, but it is time to start warming up for our Megillah reading, right? I would chant maybe something like this. Vayavo hamelech v'haman. Yeah, you got it, right. Now we are ready to go. Those are the opening words of chapter 7 of Megillat Esther, the scroll of Esther. It is a chapter with so many mentions of he whose name must be booed. And other than being a few days early, there is nothing preventing me from chanting the entire Megillah right now. We might be a little late to lunch, but this is not something that I take for granted. As I reflected last night, it has taken thousands of years for women to gain equal access to ritual and spiritual leadership in our communities, and we still have a long way to go. Now, chanting Megillah has always been a bit more of an open category for women's participation. We learn in the Talmud, Af hen hayu be'oto hanes. Women were also part of the miracle. Esther made that miracle happen. Even for the rabbis thousands of years ago, Esther's bold leadership merited a role for women in retelling our sacred story. One of the most memorable times that I've had the opportunity to chant from Megillah was in Jerusalem at the Kotel, the Western Wall. I was studying in Jerusalem and I joined Women of the Wall, Nashot HaKotel, to participate in their Purim celebration and public Megillah reading. What a sight we were. We were wearing our costumes, we had groggers, and we were singing and praying and really just embodying Esther. My friend Yochi Rappaport, who is the executive director of Women of the Wall, explains it like this. For decades, we have been coming and praying at the women's section of the Kotel and demanding that women too will be able to pray freely according to our tradition. We have these goals, very simple, very Jewish. We want to pray out loud with a group of women collectively, wearing a talit. Our main struggle today is to be able to read from the Torah like every 13-year-old boy can do from the men's section, like Chloe did so beautifully this morning. I want us, Yochi says, to be able at the Kotel to do the same. I am wearing my Women of the Wall talit today, a gift from Yochi in solidarity, and I saw many folks wearing those talitot today as well. Women of Reform Judaism has been proud to support Women of the Wall as one of our Yes Fund grantees, including underwriting their beautiful prayer book that they use. I've been back many times to support Women of the Wall for their Rosh Chodesh monthly gatherings. At the beginning of the month, a group of Israeli women and people from around the world gather for a minyan of protest and pluralism. Standing together at the Kotel, the outer remnant of the ancient temple in Jerusalem. Reform and liberal Judaism is absolutely flourishing and growing in Israel today, and the Kotel is still governed by the strictest of Orthodox standards. This means that there is a mechitza, a dividing line in the middle of the Western Wall main plaza, and men pray on one side and women pray on the other. In October of this past year, I was honored to be part of a large group of women and supporters from all around the world who joined Women of the Wall in the Old City to mark the beginning of the month of Cheshvan. A group of women and male allies gathering to pray and to sing, to chant from our sacred Torah scroll, so we hoped, to offer psalms of gratitude and praise. Many of us were there in Jerusalem at that time for the World Zionist Congress. Our global reform movement sent the largest delegation to the Congress, giving us the power to represent our values of democracy and pluralism and inclusion, and of course, our value of a peaceful, secure Israel. Together at the Kotel, we were physically representing with our presence those values. Unfortunately, we were unable to bring a physical Torah scroll into the Western Wall Plaza that day. We couldn't even bring a Torah mantle, the Torah cover. All of that was confiscated by the Western Wall authorities at the security point on our way in because we were women who sought to bring that in and to pray with them. Just around the corner, there is another section of the Kotel. It's known as the Egalitarian Kotel, or Ezrat Yisrael, or sometimes the Family Kotel. And the very next morning, I returned to the Old City with a group of women and men to pray together at that section of the Kotel. I was part of a wonderful international group gathered for the Global Conference of the World Union for Progressive Judaism. For many years, our reform movement and our conservative movement partners have led the way to make this area of the Kotel open to all. But due to a whole crazy host of construction issues, as well as corrupt delays, the project has stalled for years. You can appreciate the beauty of the wall in this location, and you can pray and read from Torah with a mixed gender group. You're on a platform, though, above the Kotel's stones. You can't get anywhere near to touch it or to be close to it. These two visits to the Kotel are so fixed in my mind, each with their own limitations and challenges, each with their own hope and opportunity. And they were two moments that fueled our resolve at the World Zionist Congress. The Congress, as I'm sure has been shared with you, typically meets every 5 years, fulfilling Theodore Herzl's vision that Jews from around the world should have a say in what our Zionism looks like and in shaping the modern state of Israel. The Congress establishes policy and budgets for international institutions. It's really exciting. And it was my honor to be a delegate to the Congress in October, together with Rabbi Splansky and many others, where we strategized and organized and eventually passed a big docket of resolutions, there with our Artsenu delegation, with delegates from the US, Canada, and all around the world. And we showed up together as a global reform movement. During the Congress, I was asked to lead a group of our delegates in the Committee on National and Social Policy. There were 10 such committees. We all divided up. All of this is happening in Hebrew, too. It's amazing. We met with delegates from a really wide, diverse range of ideologies, and we debated, and we fought, and we quarreled, and really got into it for hours. But we did work in lockstep, both with our bloc and with our conservative movement partners. At one point in the meeting, it was getting pretty warm in this committee room, and we had been there for, hours. Due to the rules of the committee, we were not permitted to leave the room for any reason, and I mean any reason, or we would completely give up our vote. So at one point, I'm getting pretty hot, and I stand up and walk toward the back of the room, and I'm fanning myself, maybe a little bit over dramatically. And the leader of the ultra-Orthodox party came back and he asks, "Are you okay?" And we introduced ourselves very politely, although I was very sure to emphasize that I was Rabbi Liz Hirsch. And I asked him, "Okay, this resolution that we're debating right now, where are you at on it?" And he was in favor, and he told me that. But our bloc was not in favor, so I told him that. We're all talking in the back of the room while they're still debating. He said, "Well, is there any way that I could make this more palatable, more favorable for you?" And I mentioned a couple parts of the resolutions that were really just a strong affront to our values. He thought for a second and he said, "We could live without those." And then I asked if he would propose the amendments to that resolution so they would be seen as friendly by the original party who presented it. He agreed. We went back to our seats. We were still very warm, and we definitely still needed our lunch. And I share this story because even when we fundamentally disagree, we can still find ways to work together. And when we began to finally vote on the resolutions in the full Congress, we were celebrating in our Artseinu delegation. We won vote after vote, resolution after resolution. Of the many resolutions that we passed that night, one stands out. Together with the full force of our movement, World Union, Artseinu, all the rest, we called upon the Israeli government to reopen the egalitarian kotel and have full access to the stones of the Western Wall. Just last week, the Israeli Supreme Court reaffirmed that the government must honor its commitment to provide accessible egalitarian space. And now, I come to you right now to let you know that all of this is at risk. The Israeli government, in response, I believe, to that Supreme Court case, is advancing a bill that could ban and criminalize non-Orthodox prayer at the Western Wall. And we need your voice now to stop it. The bill was put forward by member of Knesset Avi Maoz, and it would grant sole control of the entire Western Wall, including the egalitarian section, to the ultra-Orthodox chief rabbinate. This bill has already passed a preliminary reading in the Knesset in Israel's parliament, and it would allow criminal penalties of up to 7 years for Jews who pray at the Kotel in ways that I just described to you, ways that do not conform to ultra-Orthodox standards. And to this we say, our prayer is not a crime. This legislation would exclude the overwhelming majority of the world's Jewish population from one of our holiest sites. It would impact life cycle moments and conversions and the basic dignity of prayer. Our prayer is not a crime. As news of this legislation was picking up this week, I spoke with Anna Kislansky, the CEO of the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism, our Reformed Jewish congregational movement in Israel, who of course sends warm greetings to her friends at Holy Blossom Temple. Anna shared, "The Western Wall is not the property of one denomination or sect. It is the open heart of the entire Jewish people. And when a Jewish state tells millions of Jews in Israel and around the world, your prayer is not legitimate here, it distances, excludes, and weakens the deep connection between us. A Jewish and a democratic state must include diversity, respect, and equality at the Western Wall, and perhaps especially there. This moment is not just about the Kotel. It is about the question of what kind of Jewish and democratic state we want Israel to be, and what place every Jew, each and every one of us, has in it. There are a couple ways that we need your voices and that you can take action on this issue. All of our different Reform Movement partners, Women of Reformed Judaism, Artseinu, Artza, World Union, and Holy Blossom, of course, are sharing out an action alert, a letter that you can send to government embassies, to your consulate, to make your voices heard. The call is urgent, and we need you to speak up. I've been moved also this week seeing folks taking to social media if they have visited the Kotel, either in the women's section or in the egalitarian section, posting up a photo of support and saying, this is a place where I want to be able to continue to pray because our prayer is not a crime. And despite all this, La Yehudim haita ora v'simcha v'sason. For us, the Jewish people, there is light and joy and gladness with Purim coming soon. And this Shabbat, as we know, as we've shared, is Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat of remembering. These are moments for us to say, remember who we are, and moments for us to say, we will not forget who we can be. In our Torah cycle, we are currently in the book of Exodus, Tetzaveh, which Chloe read so beautifully today. To observe this special Shabbat, as we also heard, we read that additional reading from Deuteronomy. Zachor, remember what Amalek did to you on your journey after you left Egypt, how undeterred by fear of God, he surprised you on the march when you were famished and weary and cut down the stragglers in your rear. Therefore you shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget, lo tishkach. So why is this the reading for the Shabbat before Purim? Because Amalek, the ultimate enemy of the Jewish people, was an ancestor of Haman. Yeah, we're warming up. We're still warm. You'll be ready by tomorrow. We must remember the evil of Amalek in every generation. Well, this reading in Deuteronomy, I love this, is actually also a remembrance of the original incident that happened in the book of Exodus. So we have to remember again. Let me set the scene. We are in the desert. We have just crossed the sea singing with Miriam, and Miriam has a well of water that follows her. But when Miriam dies in the desert, the people grow thirsty. They begin to fight and quarrel and blame each other. And then Moses, oh, poor Moses. Moses has had enough, and he needs to get them water. So when God tells Moses to talk to a rock, instead, Moses strikes the rock. Water appears, and then it's at this exact moment that Amalek shows up and begins to attack us. And the only way to fend off Amalek is for Moses to stand on a cliff overlooking the battlefield, lifting his arms like this. But no one, not even an Olympic athlete, can stand with their arms up in the air for over one day. So Aaron and her two other leaders hold up Moses' arms. They hold him up. And that is how we defeat Amalek. On this Shabbat Zachor, I believe that we can broaden the frame of what we are asked to remember and what we must not forget. Remember what it was like to rejoice at the sea together. Do not forget how we turned on each other and fought with each other when we had no water. Remember how Moses turned to anger and force when he lost his patience with the people. And do not forget how Aaron and Hur held up Moses' hands when we needed each other the most, until our true enemies were defeated. We have no better image of what a true enemy looks like than the news, the current events of this very morning. I fear now is a moment to remember what happens when we quarrel with each other, when our internal disagreements stand to take the better of us. The true enemy is Amalek, and we risk making enemies of each other. This Shabbat Zachor, may we call to mind the spirit of Esther, who stepped up bravely for her people, who showed true leadership just for this moment at the time she was needed. May we all be part of the miracle of healing, of hope, of holding each other up. Remember who we are when we are at our best, one people, diverse and unique, united and strong. Do not forget. Shabbat Shalom.